Hello and welcome to this tutorial on integration of research. When we talk about integrating research into our written work, I think the first place we should start is by thinking about what research is. There are several types of research that are out there. So when we think about different types of research articles that we may come across, these are just a few that you may have seen. Qualitative research basically focuses on a small number of subjects, maybe semi-structured interviews, and there's not any really standardized measures or scales or statistical analyses. It does allow you to provide more of an in-depth understanding of the area that you're working with, but it doesn't come up with specific statistics. Quantitative research, on the other hand, really focuses on larger numbers of respondents, and it does tend to use standardized measures or scales that have been determined to be reliable and valid. With quantitative research, the larger number of participants in the study, the more generalizable that the results can be to the general population, which of course is important when we're looking at applying research to our clients. Many studies often have a combination of the above. They have some quantitative surveys or scales, and they also have some qualitative data on perhaps some of the participants, or maybe some more in-depth on a portion of the participants. Some other type of research that's out there is actually a measurement research. So it's actually a scale development, or where they're testing the reliability or validity of a scale or a measure. And so this is important, but when you're looking at gathering maybe specific results about a population, this might not be the type of research that you're wanting to look at. The other type of research that's out there is conceptual or theoretical. So it's actually discussing a theory, perhaps why domestic violence occurs through the theory of gender inequality. And finally, there is literature review. Some articles are basically what they call meta-analyses of all publications out there. So they go and find all the studies on brain cancer that have been conducted with a specific drug treatment. And they gather all that up, they pull them all together, they find the studies that are most closely related, and they try to summarize current findings. This is helpful research, especially when you're looking at a large topic, specifically like cancer. So these are the different types of research articles that you may find out there. It's something to start thinking about when you get to research your research course. You're actually going to be spending more time breaking these down, but at least in this course, as we're looking at gathering a foundation for integrating research into your writing, you should at least know what type of research you're actually picking up out there. So, what are scholarly journals? In any of the research that we're wanting you to cite out there, we are really wanting you to cite scholarly sources. So these are reports of original data. They use the language of the discipline, which may be technical and sometimes difficult to understand. The authors are usually the researchers and the scholars in the field. They have extensive references. They're often published by universities or scholarly presses or research organizations. There's minimum graphics and advertisements. It's mainly black and white text and maybe some tables and charts. When we talk about scholarly articles, I use those terms interchangeably with peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed is basically the process that an article has to go through in order to be published. So if you were interested in publishing an article, you'd need to obviously do the research, write the article, and then submit it to the journal to be published. Once it gets submitted to the journal to be published, one of the things is that this is one thing too, on the title page we often have our name, but we never keep our name in APA format in in the later pages. So on page headers, we don't have our names. And the reason this is because when you're submitting a paper, it goes to three experts, three or more experts in the field, and they are you are anonymous in your submission. So the article gets submitted to them, and they actually determine whether they believe the research contributes to the knowledge in the field and whether or not the methodology was sound and scientific. Some things that may happen once you submit is that one, they can reject your article, they can accept your article, or they can return it with the idea that if you make the following corrections or expand upon some of their suggestions, that then it can be published. So this is a rigorous method that scholars have to go through in order to get published. So that's why we're wanting you to gather these scholarly sources, because the idea is that they are scholarly that way. They've been peer reviewed. They've been accepted by the experts that are in the field. So how do you determine if an article is peer reviewed or scholarly? Certainly if you review the hard copy of the journal, it's often stated within the front cover. You can review the journal's website just by Googling the journal, and then once you get to the journal, often they will indicate if it's a peer-reviewed and that process. The other way is to look into the Ulrich's International Periodicals Directory, and I'm going to show you how to do that next. The thing is with determining peer-reviewed articles is that I'm noting that a lot of students are gathering more of their articles online. And so one thing you just want to do is make sure that the source that you're gathering it from is scholarly, that this is in fact a peer-reviewed article. So I'm just going to take a minute and get onto the website. This is actually I am logged in through the VPN to the library's homepage, and if you need help doing that, you can review one of the previous tutorials. And what I'm going to do here is actually click on Articles and Journals. By clicking on that, I can actually see here that Ulrich International Periodicals Directory. This actually is a separate site, but by going through UMBC's website, we can actually be in there. Okay, so the Journal of Social Work Education is a journal that I frequently use, and so if I wanted to just kind of see what that was, whether or not it was peer reviewed, I can do it this way. So by typing in the title here, and by actually clicking on Title Exact, I can see here that this is the journal that I'm referring to. By clicking on it, I can actually see that the issue numbers, the title, who it's published by, the Council of Social Work Education, the year it started, how often it comes out, and under document type I can see that this is scholarly, it's a journal and it's academic scholarly. So therefore it is peer reviewed. Say I actually wanted to look up a title, but I wasn't really sure what the title of it was. So I knew it had like addictions in the title. So by clicking in addictions, you can actually see there's several out there. Addictions Today, Addiction Professional, Addiction Research and Theory. So by clicking into these, you can actually see what their status is, who their publisher is, the country that they're published in, and gather more information that way. You can see this journal that I chose here is actually a journal that's academic and scholarly. So I am reviewing this with you primarily to focus on the fact that in your annotated bibliography and in your other assignments for this course, you are needing to find peer-reviewed scholarly journals. So one thing you can do is actually find those journal articles and just go back into the system and make sure that they are in fact scholarly. Okay, for the readings today, you were to focus on the Fong article, and basically we're going to be really spending some time in class talking about that article and doing a little exercise in class. So in order to be prepared for class, I'd like you to focus on reading the Fong article located in your readings tab, and then also bring one of the samples of the journal articles that's posted in the readings tab, or if you have another one, you're welcome to bring that. We'll be doing an exercise in class today about that. Thank you and have a good day.